Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold's here, co-founder, Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. How's everyone doing on this fine Sunday? Welcome, Davey, again. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Wavy, well, very formal. Well, Michael G. Arnold, wow. Very formal, Wavy. I'm the man. I'm the old man now. 25-year-old today, a little older since I started professionally trading in 92. I'd have to be older than 25. You'd have to go to at least 30 if I started when I was, well, let's say I started when I was 1 year old. You'd have to be at least 31. But that should tell you something. We'll take a look at Tesla in a bit. Good afternoon, Josh. Happy birthday. Hope it's been a good weekend. Thank you for the sector overview. It's been a tiring weekend. Fine afternoon, Mike and crew. Welcome, Rams of Fall. Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. May all your dreams and wishes come true on your special day. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for saying those kind words, Amit. Good afternoon, Sashi. So if you wanted to see, remember I got all that mulch. If you wanted to see what all that mulch spreading looks like, here's some examples of all the brown mulch and the cedar mulch. You can see it from a couple different angles. So that's my little back seating area with the fire pit and everything else going on. That's what a lot of this weekend is doing. By the way, this little cement area, that's where I put one of my smokers for smoking stuff over the summer. So that's getting all it's cedar. Oh boy. Let's see here. Now what happened there? You know, don't do this. Eh. Let me hold on. Now I gotta quit. There we go. So I'll have to reopen something else. Yeah, that was a lot of mulch. How's that mulch look out there? The mulch looks good. I mean, tons of Fed this week. Yep. So thank you, Amit. Yeah, that's my back relaxation. Again, we have a huge backyard. It was cedar mulch and then triple grind brown mulch. Thank you. It's well, when it's nice weather here, you got to take advantage of it. And I like to sit out there with the gazebo, and have that nice little relaxation area. Then we have another porch up by the house, but that's the deep backyard. Thank you, Options 22, Professor Arnold. Thank you, Bite Whiz. So that's what my weekend's been. Do you ride ATVs? I do not have an ATV at the moment, and my yard isn't that big. But there is a walking behind that fence. There is a walking trail all back there to go back through the forest area. Again, all behind us is Forest Preserve. So we back up to Forest Preserve. Do you ride the lawnmower? Actually, I have a yard service because I used to do my own yard, but I was out there literally for three hours and didn't even get it done on a weekend. Thank you, Rams of Fall. So let's get started now. Thank you again for all the nice birthday wishes. By the way, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. And thanks for the people who come back and leave some comments on the videos. I really do appreciate it. You mentioned Fed speak this week. Fed speak this week. I didn't even mean that. Tomorrow, minor will be the Empire State Manufacturing Index, but we got Williams speaking. That's going to be the big thing tomorrow. If in case he says something, then Tuesday, retail sales is going to be pretty big. Retail sales is going to be big. And we got Bullard speaking and Harker speaking, and housing could be interesting, and then Powell in the afternoon. And Mester and Evans. So Tuesday, that could be a really interesting day. Wednesday, we got more mortgage stuff, which gauging how much housing could be slowing down and building permits and housing starts. And then the crude numbers and more Harker speaking. Oh, dude, these guys just like to hear themselves talk. They can't have that much important to say. Then we got the Philly business conditions and everything else. So that will be interesting, especially watching prices paid and employment on Thursday and existing home sales. And then we have just the rig counts on Friday. So Friday is nice and quiet. Just a recap, remember, we had that rip your face off rally on Friday. FOMC still 92% that we're getting that 50 basis point, but we still have to keep an eye out for that 75. I think it's not fully off the table and still in negative gamma territory, but slightly above that 4,000 mark. Earnings this week. Earnings, hold on one second. I have to close some down that for my photo because I messed that up. Earnings this week, not much tomorrow that I'm personally interested in. Tuesday gets interesting for me with Home Depot and Walmart in the morning. Gonna watch that really closely. What else? Target Wednesday morning and Lowe's. Paying attention to that pretty close. Cisco in the afternoon. I always pay attention to Cisco. Remember, Cisco's my go-to since the .com. Since there's still people holding it, hoping for it to get back to where they bought it. 20 years later. Thursday, let's see. What's Applied Material I definitely will keep an eye on. And then Friday, I don't know, maybe a peek at John Deere, but let me know if there's anything that interests you or leave some comments of stuff you want me to look at during the week. Let's see. They may run operational bull mode this week on high alert, but I'm not ready to get bagged on yet. Thank you, Waka Waka. Happy D-Bay. Happy D-Bay. That's my inverse birthday, the D-Bay. Can't believe rates hitting 6%. We're a long way from there. There we go. Now it's Happy B-Day. Hey, Mike, give us an update on Florida. Hey, George. We're still trying to work out some remote agreements, and we might actually at this point be going back to Arizona now. We might have an option to go back there also. So we're working on that. We are still figuring out getting everything put in place. Again, we have to, with my wife's work, we also have to get some kind of agreement with her work also. Will we rally on Monday? I am watching for a continued rally, and I'll show you why in a bit. But there are reversal patterns set up also. So it is going to be interesting. Waka Waka is predicting a black Monday followed by a black Tuesday and then possibly a black Wednesday. Oh boy, Waka Waka. Oh boy. Really? You want to see Apple. Mike, you think the same thing is going to happen with Tesla when it comes to Cisco's with disruptive and new tech networking infrastructure? What, with that there will be people like the Tesla's going to take a dive at some point and there's going to be still people holding it, waiting for it to recover for many, many years? I think in that semblance it's going to be the same. So that's where we sit. Let's take a look. All right, we had that strong up 236 basis points on Friday in the S&P. Let me get the lines off there. You see returning to the daily rotation zone. So 1 day bounce. Will we get more than 1 day? Well, daily cycles are turning up now out of oversold condition, and the weekly cycles, where'd my weekly cycles go, are starting to turn up. So when this turns up a little stronger, I'll be a little more confident. Now, we didn't hit the final target, so there is still some upside even overnight. Now, that doesn't mean we have to follow through once the day session in the U.S. starts tomorrow, but I'll be watching to see for a final push up to 40.3850. What changes all that for me? Because also very important to know what changes it. If we get at least a 1 hour close below 39.75.75, then I'm targeting the pullback. Would that necessarily mean a pullback to the lows? No. The targets would be 39.49, 39.35, 39.22, and then on a 1 hour close below the 62.5 level, which is roughly 39.22, then I'd watch for the retest of the low areas. But as long as we don't break that, because I have daily and weekly cycles trying to turn up, well, daily have already turned up, I am watching for some continued upwards price action. Even if we triggered the double and came back here and bounced and then moved up strong again, I'd still be watching for some upwards price action. Again, does that mean we're going to major new highs? No, it does not. What my first sign would be a close back above 41.35 area. Why that? That's the 62.5 of this most recent sell-off, and that would just be to this back into the weekly rotation zone area. What I'd need to get more bullish would be a close above 43.42. But you see the weekly rotation zone in the ways, and that's a long way off. But remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks down, and this is a pretty strong bottoming formation with cycles turning up. So I can't be overly bearish, and the only thing that would tip me minorly bearish to see the strength of the pullback would be is if we triggered this double. So that's everything I am watching on the S&P. NASDAQ, again, to the weekly or to the daily rotation zone and pausing there, up 365 basis points on Friday. So that is a pretty strong move. You see back above that 4-hour rotation zone. Not to the second target on this double. So we still have a second and third potential target. So that's why I'm, again, watching for potential price action. What invalidates higher price action? What invalidates that? A 1-hour close below 12,218.50. Then I'd be targeting the 12,113 area, the 12,059, and then 12,006. What tips me in beyond that little pullback into a retest area is at least a 1-hour close below about 11,967. Why there? Because that's a 62.5, and then that statistically favors the pullback to retest the lows. So could we trigger the short-term pullback without triggering a longer-term pullback? Yes, we can. And I am still favoring the higher prices, the 12,443.75, and then minor 12,54. 12,547.25. I'm really focused though on, I'll put a line there, this area right in front of it. So that would be my target zone, about 12,526. Again, for the daily, cycles are turning up on the NASDAQ, and the weekly are starting to turn up on the weekly. So short term, then I'd be watching on the continuation through there. Then I'd be watching the next major level, 12,951. Let's see. Can I give medium to long-term outlook for the S&P through year end? I think we're going to get some kind of like this snapback rally. Either this one or we're going to retest. If we do retest the lows, it's going to set up for a larger bottoming pattern. And we could get a little rally up. I think second quarter earnings are going to be more of a disaster. And we're going to get another major push lower, at least through into the third quarter. And we might then start getting another bottom, a significant bottom back either end of October or beginning of November. But overall, I'm watching for a lot lower price action from here, but I'm not surprised to see a more sustainable, at least a more sustainable than a little 3-day rally we had back at the beginning of May, end of April. I'm looking for a little more substance rally and then another rollover play. Dow. Remember, we had no double bottom to move off of at this point. Where am I focused on a push higher? I'm really focused on about 32,400. And I just want to see where the short-term harmonics take me. 32,334.3 to 32,400 at this point. Right now, we do have a potential double top. which would take us back below the 62.5. So that's going to be interesting if that triggers, and that triggers below this little flat area. 31,567, 31,461, 31,365. Remember, the Dow only up 148 basis points. That was the weakest of them all, and not even reconnecting with the daily rotation zone right here. Cycles are starting to turn up on that, and the weekly rotation zone is all the way back to 33,350 area. By the way, longer term, as I've said before, I'm also watching for most of these indices to reconnect with their 200-week simple moving average. So you can use that as my next, as the next major push lower. Three days rally, that would be awesome. Will Jay Powell talk on Tuesday at 2 p.m. affect much? Pump and dump or dump and pump? Again, it's the Fed speakers. We're in tactical trading mode. We are in tactical trading mode. So can they say anything? I mean, he come out and saying, yes, we're reconsidering it. We're going to do a 75 basis point. He could, and that would probably cause a dump move. But if he just reiterates, we're just going to do our 50 basis point and then a 50 basis point, and then we're probably going to wait and see what happens. That market could take that as, okay, there's going to be no surprises. We'll just continue on with a short-term rally mode. Where else do we sit? Let's just jump. Russell, again, is my weakest go-to. Why? Because it broke major support. Coming back to the 12.5% harmonic. If we rally up through there, we do have a clear path move. So my next target on the Russell, but this is my last go-to play, would be about 1855. What invalidates that? There's no real double on here. So a pullback, I don't really want to see it drop below the 62.5 harmonic then from these lows. So that's all the way back at 1738. The DAX daily cycles getting to top. I'm watching this little channel right here for a potential another rollover play up here on a rally tomorrow. I'm really focused on about 14,172. Daily cycles in the DAX getting to the top, but weekly turning up, so it's sort of mixed. So this one's in a tricky situation right now. So I'm watching to see how it reacts at the top of this channel, and my support now is coming back at about, let me find the level, about 13,824. Crude, I am in bullish mode based, especially off Friday's price action. Remember, we got above that 62.5. I've already reversed it and pretty much retested this key area. On a pullback now, I'm focusing on this 4-hour rotation zone. If we do pull back, first area will be 109, and then if we pull back below that, I'm watching between 108 to about 107.50 for a pullback and a rotation back up. But I don't have any topping pattern here. On a daily basis, windows are open and they're flying a helicopter for some reason. Who knows? 111.74, we get a close above there. Minor 113.68, then I'm really targeting this 116 area. Gold, now we should be getting into a cycle bottom this week, but the problem is there's a lot of overhead resistance. So my rally target on gold is 1839 on the short term, and I'd love to see it close above that for the bullish case in gold, but I am watching now more aggressively for a bottoming formation in gold. And silver, as I put in the sector overview, did trigger a long-term sell, but this is one of the most major sell-offs ever. It's in the top 3 sell-offs in silver, and physical silver hasn't budged. What it's done, though, is a lot of technical damage to the futures. As I said, I don't have a strong bottoming pattern. I am watching for a bottom to then add a bigger position back in. Remember, it was unwind a little, add a bigger position back in to rebuild at lower levels and keep lowering a cost basis even more. Notes, even with this pullback, watching for a longer-term bottom to come in the market. Still not connected with the weekly rotation zone. So I'm watching, again, longer-term bottom formation with the daily cycles are at the top, but the weekly cycles are at the bottom and turning up. So we could see a little pullback as long as I don't get a daily close below 118.09 and a half. I'm still watching for support in this area with a daily pullback. There's no great topping pattern though here. This was a horribly sloppy divergence top with just pretty much an orderly pullback so far. So longer term, I am watching for yields to drop slightly on the 10-year. Dollar index coming up to that next harmonic. Dollar index also did trigger on the 1 hour chart this little double top. So I'm watching for a pullback on the dollar index. 104.33, 104.23, 104.12 and a half. All right. Where do we sit? I'm just looking back through. We have a gap above and below in various markets in SPX, NDX, Tesla, and upper gets filled, then rollover could very well be. I mean, Tesla, I have the gap harmonics on here. We still have this. I don't know if this is going to... Tesla's interesting now because now you got this whole... You got the Twitter, you got the Elon Musk, you got all this stuff, everything. And Tesla's going to trade on what's going on with Twitter too. You see, we got that bounce, deal. I'm putting it on hold for a bit, but I'm still in it. Whatever. Now he's violated the NDA according to Twitter. So this could be a roller coaster. Where I start watching though, I've updated. So we have the close to the high. So the only way I start targeting the gap fill is if we get I need at least a 15-minute close below about 750. We get a close below that, then I'm targeting the gap fill. All right. Other than that, if we didn't get the close on that 15-minute, but we pull back on weakness in the morning between the 50 and the 75. So that'd be about 758 to about that 750 area. I'll watch for a rotation back up if the NASDAQ is strong. But if we violate that 62.5, then I'm targeting the gap fill at least for the short term. This was not a double bottom. The two bottoms were too far off, so you cannot use that. On the upside, you talk about that we still have this gap left behind. So if we start, especially getting above about 820 again into the daily rotation zone, then I'll get more towards watching for that other gap fill. It is against the daily rotation zone. But again, you're still going to have stuff go all over the place depending on what's going on with the Twitter deal and what he tweets out. So that's going to be the major driver. Now, Tesla's now become a story stock because it's intertwined with Musk and Twitter. So if I had to err on the side, you got daily cycles turning up. You've got weekly cycles trying to bottom. They're not yet bottomed. So we have mixed messages. So if it's a strong NASDAQ and Elon doesn't tweet anything stupid, I could see more upside. If we break and close below that 62.5, I target the gap fill and then reassess to the downside. Tesla's become completely tactical trading at this point. Using the displaced EMA on charts for weekly, monthly on NASDAQ, it's curved down and only happened 3 times, 99, 2008, and 2020. We are in for a world of hurt. I agree with you longer term. I completely agree with you, Waka Waka. There's difference between short term and long term, though. And markets don't generally go straight down. They do have these pausing rallies. XLE will continue to the moon. Again, sector overview. I'm watching. Go watch the sector overview if you haven't. I covered the XLE in it. And I'm expecting now, especially with the strong crude, XLE and some more energy plays to be strong again with this rotation back up. Amit, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for all you do, guys. Please consider helping the channel via Patreon. Yes, thank you. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate all the super chats, the people who donate through Patreon or buy me a coffee. It does help this channel tremendously. Not only does it cover some of my time, which I pretty much give away, but it covers, there's two like things that I have trading platforms, but I pay because I can't show my trading platforms here with all the accounts and everything. So I pay for the subscription to TradingView, the top subscription. I pay for the real time data in TradingView. I pay for the streaming software. You know, I pay for this editing software and for when I record pre-recorded videos. So all that does, these donations, like Amit just did, they go a long way to help cover that cost and keep this information coming to you. So I really do appreciate it. Let's see what else. What other stock? Anything else? Wizard One and Apple. Long term, I'm bearish in Apple. Short term, I'm watching if we have strong markets tomorrow. We're right against that 4-hour rotation zone. So if we start breaking above about 148.25, my next target is the 150 area. Okay, and then the upper end of the 4-hour rotation zone is coming in with a 50% harmonic. Then my next target is 152.75, and I can't even get more bullish until it gets a close above about 156. What is that? 10? 156.10. Then I'd watch for a retest of these most recent highs and that 200 on the 4-hour. Now keep in mind, even on that rally up to this 50 and the 62.5, it just takes it back to the daily rotation zone, and we've broken all this support becoming resistance. So I will be really watching for a rollover play up here in this area. Longer term, I'm expecting much lower prices. I think Apple's going to roll over again when we get the next, or even before the next, it could start the next downturn move. 135.34, 127.97, 120.59, and as I've said, longer term, I'm expecting it to reconnect with the 200 on the weekly before this is all said and done. So there's your Apple. By the way, AMD, nice strong move. I am still keeping a very close eye on this potential double. Needs a close above 99.69. I'd actually prefer with that 50 in a way a close above the 50 on the daily. Then we could see a nice little bounce. That's about the only one in the semis that I'm really focused on right now. No double bottom on Apple. No, there's no double bottom. Oh, this. Yeah, this was a little sloppy one. I was looking at the longer term charts. That, yes, there is. I don't usually get, look at those harmonics just off that right there. That's funny. Yeah, if you're playing it to the upside, your next targets on this little double would be 150. Again, there's that 150 number. 150.75 roughly, and 152.31. Well, I think they may do a special dividend, but I think they'll try to do buybacks, which longer term I don't think is going to keep their stock propped up. I think they'll just might do some more aggressive buybacks. Let me get back to Amazon. Amazon. Back to that daily rotation zone. You start getting a move back above about 22.78. I'd really focus on this 23.67 if the markets are, if things, we get the strength. I'd focus on 23.67, and then we got cycles turning up on the daily, cycles trying to bottom on the weekly, so you could easily see a play 23.76. Then my next major area, let me go all the way up here. Then I'd really be focused on about 25.30 2538 to 2560. We're a long way off from that weekly rotation zone, so you could easily see a continued rally up here through the other end of the daily. We do have some gaps still left behind here, so tomorrow I'd be focusing on a rally on this gap fill, and that full gap fill would be to 22.95.45. Then above there, then I'd go to this 23.76, 23.80 area. And I already know what invalidates that. Here's what you're going to watch for pretty much with everything. If you're wondering if it's going to continue even on a pullback or play dead, you have a gap down here, and you have the I'm not talking gap harmonics, I'm talking this little run up. So you don't want to see, even if it was to fill this gap and stay above 2133 on a closing basis, then that would just be still an orderly pullback, and I'd watch for another push higher. You get a close below that, then it would statistically favor a retest of the low area and a possibly breakdown again. Let's see. What cash pile? They should buy Peloton, Netflix on the... I think Peloton is going to be a takeover candidate, and their rower machine won't save them from death. Netflix, we got a nice little short-term divergence bottom with NASDAQ still rallying. I think Netflix finally back to somewhat of a reasonable PE, see back to 15, and for a NASDAQ stock, that's a bargain basement. I mean, they got some stuff to sort out, but I think they're putting some things in play, and Netflix could be a takeover candidate at some point too. I'm watching for a continued rally with this little close into the daily rotation zone. Next level I'm watching is that 204 area, then I'm watching about 220. So those are my short-term targets, but I really like this divergence bottom off the harmonic with the rotation up and closing into the daily rotation zone. What invalidates my thesis? My thesis, again, because this is if you get a daily close back below about 172.15, 172.13. Other than that, we're still strong in that. Am I bullish or bear? I've told you it hasn't changed. It has not changed long term. I'm bearish on Boeing. Short term, could you see a little bounce on Boeing? We got daily cycles at the bottom coming out of oversold. You could see it. You could definitely see a short term bounce play. But my bounce play would be back to 144 at best at this point. That's into the daily rotation zone and this prior breakdown area. This chart looks like garbage. Coming off the 124.46 harmonic, trying to put in a little short-term bottom. Longer term, I'm watching on any bounce would be another rollover play. I'm expecting it to test the COVID lows. All right. With that, I think that's puts us in a good position for tomorrow. Again, now we'll get the European price action tonight, and we'll get to reassess. Let's just peek in on that VIX. By the way, remember the VIX triggered this double top, not having hit the first target. So the VIX, probability-wise, still favors the lower targets, and the things like doubles do work on the VIX. So that's, again, reinforcing the short-term bullish price action this upcoming week. Once it gets through these targets, though, and again, closing pretty much right at the 62.5. I was watching for the close below the 62.5 does favor statistically, and it didn't do it. Closing right at the 62.5. So didn't get that kicking in. But this is what I'm watching with the VIX for a continued pullback, which again favors the short-term rally. Is anything guaranteed? No. That's why you don't mortgage your house and put it all into NASDAQ calls on the open tomorrow. You don't do that in this kind of market. You don't do that in any kind of market, but just especially don't do that in this kind of market because things can turn on a dime. All right. You are welcome on it, and I will be here bright and early, 8 a.m. Central Time for the market preview tomorrow, and we'll be able to fine-tune more of our price action analysis based off the overnight and European trading. Again, everybody have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Enjoy your time on your day off, and I'll chat with everyone tomorrow. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you, Wizit661. Bye for now.